This beautiful rotunda can be found in the town of Burra. It's a pleasant 2-hour drive north of the city of Adelaide. The Burra Visitor Centre is where you can find helpful local information and, more importantly, where you can buy the Burra Heritage Passport. The passport is a key which gives you access to the various historic sites around Burra. The sites I entered were all part of the Heritage Passport scheme. Burra's initial wealth came from the copper that was found in the area. It was first discovered in 1845. By 1851, Burra was Australia's largest inland town. The heritage buildings in the town reflect that wealth. What is now Burra was a series of company towns established by the mining company. The original township of Coringa was established by the South Australian Mining Association. This township was laid out next to the Burra Creek. As more miners arrived to work in the mines, there was a shortage of accommodation, so many families lived in dugouts down by the creek. By 1851, nearly 2,000 people of the population of approximately 4,500 lived in the dugouts. The conditions were dreadful. It was overcrowded and unsanitary. There were breakouts of typhus, smallpox and typhoid fever. And finally a flood in 1851 drove the inhabitants out of the dugouts. These two examples survived as they were in a tributary leading to the Burra Creek. The mining company built these small cottages to encourage people to leave their dugouts. There are 33 cottages built along 3 sides of a square. One cottage, called Mallowan Loweth Cottage, has been restored to the style of a mine captain's residence from the 1850s. The back garden has been recreated with hollyhocks and plants of the era. Inside, the rooms have been set up as a parlour, a kitchen and a bedroom. The other 32 cottages have now been restored as holiday accommodation. I love accommodation that's been created from a repurposed historic building, so naturally I had to stay in one. The cottages are built around Paxton Square. I had assumed that the front of the cottages would look into the square, but it's the opposite, the backs of them do. This was done deliberately. The square was created as a space for children to play in and for their fathers to hold their miners' meetings. The wooden structures at the back of the cottages are now modern bathrooms. Driving from Market Square to the cottages, I came across this street sign. Give way to what? I thought, as there were no other roads. And then I realised that the bridge was a one-vehicle only bridge and you had to give way to oncoming traffic. And I used the word traffic loosely, as it was generally just one other car, maybe 2. The bridge was built in 1879 and it was used for horse and bullock traffic. The reason for Burra's existence as a town was the monster mine. The copper mine here was much bigger than the mine area I visited in Kapunda. I'll link that video below. The Burra mine site is a drive-around one. The discovery of copper in the early days of the young South Australian colony saved it from bankruptcy. The South Australian colony was different from the other colonies as there were to be no convicts, only free settlers. The colony was to be a money-making proposition for the founders of the South Australia Company. The settlers were paid to buy the land from the colonisers, not the local Indigenous people. Unfortunately for those original settlers and the South Australia Company, money ran out quickly. The discovery of copper and being able to sell and export it brought much needed funds to the colony. The mine eventually closed in 1877 as the worldwide price of copper dropped. It was reopened as an open cut mine in the 1970s and 80s before it was closed again as it was not financially viable. Morfett's engine house has been restored from a ruin as it was gutted by fire in 1925. The engine house pumped out water from the underground mine. Inside there's the model of the enormous Cornish beam engine. It's now possible to go up the stairs to where the large beam swung up and down and to look over the open cut mine. Those cast iron pipes went down deep into the mine. Part of the monster mine site, it was called that because it was huge and not because there were mythical beings around. The Red Roof Township was established by the colonial government to break the mining company's monopoly on the townships around the mine. Its main claim to fame now is its jail, which was used in the classic Australian movie Breaker Morant, based on real-life events which happened in South Africa. Apparently, the nearby area resembled South Africa. It was used as a jail to house male and female prisoners from 1856 to 1894. It was then reopened as a girls' reformatory in 1897, and it amused me to read the reports about the girls. They were little hellions, more along the lines of St. Trinians than young ladies. The reformatory didn't work out, and it was closed in 1922. Burra is close to the Clare Valley wine region, and it's a great opportunity to explore an interesting town, then continue down the road and find yourself amongst the vineyards. Just another part of our big wide world South Australia has to offer.